Hello, my spooky bitches. Welcome to my brand new series, Press-Ons and the Paranormal. Each week I'm going to be launching a video where I go through and I make up either a current order of one of the sets of press-on nails that I currently have in my shop, or I will be working on a brand new design. Along with that, I will be adding a voiceover of a spooky going on. So I am currently researching and looking for the scariest hauntings that have happened in the UK. I do have quite a few that I've already got in my bank that I've been dying to explore further. So this is really my way of combining my two loves, one being creating nails, especially press-on nails, and the other is the paranormal. So grab yourself some snacks and a little drinky-rooney and come along for the ride. For today's episode, I want to talk about 30 East Drive. Now, this is an ex-council house and it is located in Pontfract here in the UK. I've actually been to this property and stayed overnight, and I'm going to get to that at the end of the video. But before we get to that, I just want to read you what it actually says about the website. So I will link the website down below, but it's just www.30eastdrive.com. This is the history, so I'm going to read you a bit about that and then we'll get on to the actual happenings afterwards. So what this says, if you go to the history page, is Jean, Joe, Philip, 15 and Diane, 12, Pritchard moved into number 30 East Drive, Pontefract in August 1966. Almost immediately during the hot summer bank holiday, Philip and his grandmother first witnessed a baffling phenomenon, a fine layer of chalk-like dust falling not from the ceiling, but from a level below head height. In an effort to clean up before Philip's holidaying parents returned, Mrs. Kelly, Philip's auntie, who had been fetched by her mother to observe the falling dust, went to the kitchen for some cleaning implements, whereupon she slipped on a pool of water that had mysteriously appeared. Her efforts to mop up the water were thwarted by more pools appearing on the lino in front of her and Philip's very eyes. This was the beginning of several years of incredible, inexplicable events. Green foam appearing from taps and toilet even after the water was turned off. The tea dispenser being activated, resulting in all the dried tea cascading onto the work surface. Lights being turned off and on, plants leaping out of their pots and landing on the stairs, cupboards shaking violently, photographs being slashed with a sharp knife, and an endless list of levitating and thrown objects, including a solid oak sideboard. Dubbed Mr. Nobody by the local press in 1968, the family preferred to refer to the poltergeist simply as Fred, perhaps as a way of normalising it, as no number of initiatives could persuade the entity to leave the family in peace, and house-proud Mother Jean refused to be terrorised out of her house by an entity. Exorcisms were met with indignation, walls would seep holy water, faces were slapped, people were shoved down the stairs, and Fred's hands would appear from nowhere and conduct Christian songs aimed at shooing him off, whilst wearing huge women's fur gloves. In fact, many of Fred's antics were both amazing and highly amusing, like when he calmly poured an entire jug of milk he removed from the fridge over a sceptic aunt, leaving the kids in stitches. Ordinarily, poltergeists aren't known for causing grievous bodily harm. Fred caused a few bruises and scrapes and a lot of heart-stopping scares, in particular to Diane, seemingly the focus of the haunting. It is rare for a poltergeist to become excessively violent and cause physical harm. But in the case of Fred, that indeed became the case. Late on in his residency, when both Philip and Diane were beginning to exit adolescence, the activity reached a new climactic height, with Diane's long hair suddenly standing on its end, followed by her being dragged kicking and screaming up the stairs, an event that left her seriously traumatised and with clearly visible finger marks on her throat. A full account of the events that happened at 30 East Drive can be found in Colin Wilson's brilliant book Poltergeist, and I will leave a link down below. I first heard about 30 East Drive about 4 or 5 years ago. I am deeply obsessed with the paranormal, and had met a lady online through a group for planner people of all things. And we had been speaking, we had met a few times in real life at events and things like that. She became a really, really good friend, and she was on a ghost hunting team. So they actually invited me to go to visit their East Drive. And I'm not sure now, like thinking back, I think I've pulled the video, but there was a video on my old YouTube channel where I vlogged. So if I can find that footage, I will upload it or link or do something with it. It started off with me not knowing much about this property at all. I can't remember how much we had to pay individually, but I have looked on the website and it's £300 during the week, £400 at weekends and bank holidays. That's per night. If there are more than 4 of you going, you need to have like a specialist team with their own public liability insurance. But I believe you can hire it for a night if there are 4 of you and you just wanted to go and stay there. I briefly had done a bit of research on the property. I didn't want to know too much. Obviously, the people that I were going with, they had told me bits and pieces about it, but I didn't want to know too much about the property before I went. Like I said, obsessed with anything to do with the paranormal, but I'm also a skeptic, so I'm even skeptical of myself. I'm very much, I have to see something with my own eyes or feel it with my hands or hear it with my ears before I will believe it. So I went down there very open-minded, not expecting anything and not really knowing much history about the place. The excitement started building on the way down there. So I drove down by myself, and the drive was about 2 hours from where I live. I live up in County Durham in England. The excitement started building. I had stopped at the service station and my husband was frantically texting me. I can't believe you're going there. What are you doing? You're crazy. He had been researching it on the website and he was like, don't go in the coal bunker. Don't be left alone. Like, he on pure panic messaging me like, please just come home. And he did not. I think we left there at about 5-6 in the morning and he literally hadn't slept all night. He'd just been messaging me all night to make sure I was okay. So that kind of got me a little bit, I was a little bit excited, a little bit nervous. And then when we finally got there, when I arrived, and you go in, it was afternoon, so I think we'd got there at about 5-6 o'clock in the evening afternoon, and you're just on a typical English nice council estate. It was, all the houses are built the same, they all look the same, but it was a nice area. The area was clean, the houses were well maintained, so there was a sense of calm, because you kind of think like, what could be happening behind these doors when the actual area is so lovely? And then you walk in the front door and instantly, so this house has never been, since the Pritchards, this has never been lived in. The guy that now owns this house has actually purchased it. So I'll just tell you a bit about that because it will make more sense. So there was a guy, and let me just get his name for you. A guy called Bill Bungay, Bungay, whatever. He started researching this story. He's a film producer, and he started researching this story because he wanted to produce a film about it, which he actually done. The film is called When the Lights Went Out. That was made in 2012, and he wanted to come up with an alternative way of showcasing the premiere of this movie. So once the film was produced, he actually, and was waiting to be released, the property came up for sale. So he purchased it, and he has never spent a single night of his life living in that house. Although if you go onto the website, you will see a long list of things that have happened to him while he's been visiting the house. So now it's kind of run as a business. There is Carol, who lives next door. She's a psychic and she's the key holder, so she kind of maintains the property, and you can book to go down and you can stay. And yeah, it's not if you book, you go in, it's just you there. There's not, it's not like a guest house or anything like that. There are beds, but there are no linen on the bed. So yeah, it's, so that's a bit about that. So as you walk into the house, it was very, very cold. We had gone down on a summer's day. I remember driving down there. A few things had happened actually on the drive on the way down there. I felt like, at the time I had a manual car, and I felt like every time I put my foot on the clutch, I felt like there was a bottle or something underneath, like almost, if it's ever happened to you when an empty bottle's like got underneath one of your pedals and you're putting your foot down, your foot won't actually press the pedal. That felt like it happened quite a few times, and I looked and I couldn't see anything, and then that's why I stopped at the service station. So I'd gotten out, and I think it might have been the mat might have been sliding up, so I'd pulled the mat like down, didn't have any problems, so I've written that off as that just being the mat. But it did make me think, like, then obviously I had gotten all my husband's messages, and I was like, oh God, what is going on? You walk in and it was a very, very cold house. There is furniture. So the furniture that is in there is not the original furniture, but it's furniture that's been purchased from like charity shops and things like that, all around the 70s era. And it is a very, I almost want to say, oppressed feeling. So when you walk in, I felt just heavy. That's how I felt, heavy. So we went in, we set up all the equipment. Again, didn't really know what to expect. We had a spirit box with us up in the room. And obviously it is what you make it. If you go there expecting something to happen and sitting in the dark and asking questions, and you're looking for stuff, then of course any little creak of the floorboards or whatever else is happening is going to affect you. And we actually went up into the main bedroom and done a bit of vigil up there, and the first one was very, very tense and very the slightest noise, like I said, look, the hair on the back of your neck stood up. The second time we went up, we were all a bit more relaxed, we were all like a bit more laughy and jokey, and it didn't feel as heavy in the room. We had a spirit box with us, and I actually had a message, like lots and lots of words that were coming through that were there was something happening in my life at that time, and the messages that were coming through were very, very relevant to that. Not messages, just the sort of spirit box will throw up random words, and it was very relevant to what was going on. So yeah, it was, the biggest thing that had happened was we had all come downstairs in the kitchen, and we were having kind of like a bite to eat and stuff, and I was stood at the door between the kitchen and the living room. Everyone else was in the kitchen apart from one lady who was kind of stood next to me, but through the door into the living room. So there was a door between us, but she was stood right next to me basically. And I had this, I don't know whether it was a sense or a feeling or I don't know what it was, but the only way I can describe it is I used to play rugby, and when you're running and you can't see them, but you can feel someone like running up to you, and you know you're going to be taken out. Like you can feel the momentum of them running up to you before they even touch you. I had that sensation, and then the girl that was stood in next to me went flying, and it wasn't, I mean, she was stood still. There was no way, it wasn't a jump, it wasn't just a run. She went flying into the kitchen. So that was probably like the biggest thing that had happened while we were there. We did have a few spooky moments where we were in rooms and it looked like something had moved, or we were downstairs and it sounded like someone was upstairs, but again, there was nothing really concrete in that. It could have been the house moving and settling. It was the middle of the night by that point. Lights, it's a residential area, so shadows can move, well, cars passing, or even a neighbouring house drawing their curtains, closing their curtains, that can cast shadows or cast light or make light look like it's moving, so that and appear that there was actually something moving in where we were. So none of that's concrete. All of that can be discounted, really. When I got home and I was editing my vlog, I did have some weird noises on my audio that I don't remember hearing while I was actually videoing. And at that time I was vlogging on my phone, so it would have been an iPhone, but it was a few years ago, so I'm not sure what model, but there were noises that I wasn't aware of at the time, and I actually sent it to the team, and no one can kind of place these noises. They're like a few sighs and just general people noises, but I think one of them had happened when I was in a room on my own. So that was a little bit interesting, but unfortunately, once you've left, it's very, very hard to then say for definite that there was no one else in the room with me, or there was no one passing the room who could have made those noises. So all in all, it was a fun experience. If you are into the paranormal, then definitely go and check it out. I would suggest going with a paranormal team because it just adds to the experience. But that's what we need to remember, that these are. They are just experiences. There are a ton of things that have happened to other investigators, and this has been widely investigated by Most Haunted, the TV show, down to local paranormal teams. So there is a lot of footage that you can find on YouTube, on pretty much everywhere, and there's mixed opinions. Obviously, with anything like this, we have believers and we have skeptics, and then you have people like me who are kind of in the middle. And part of what makes this so much fun is disproving or proving. So there are as many videos out there about what has happened or people's experiences in 30 East Drive. There's as many videos of people saying that it's no longer haunted, that the ghost no longer, the monk or Fred no longer visits the property that they've been, and nothing's happened all night. Obviously, that's down to each individual's interpretation, as is everything. So you're going to have bad press and things like that, but I thoroughly enjoyed my time there. So a few other things that have happened. On the website, there is a list of 288 most recent happenings. There is one of the biggest ones is in I believe it's in Peter's room, so it's in one of the smaller rooms that is, I believe his was to the left of the master bedroom. His bed was messed up by Fred at 4 o'clock in the morning in a fit of rage. So there are pictures of that on the website. Unfortunately, no video footage. Now, what I would absolutely love to do, and I would do if I was the owner, but then probably not because people are videoing. Sorry, just thinking out loud to myself there. But what I would absolutely do, when there weren't people paying to go there, I would have recording equipment set up so that you could be catching this on video. But sadly, they haven't got that there. But there are photos of the bed that's all been messed up. There's been reports of the TV blaring. So this is all by Carol next door, or her son, or people of her in her family. There was a figure of a man made from his duvet, and it was placed on Carol's son's bed. There have been TVs turning off and on, things being thrown at you or at visitors to the house, pennies, balls, keys. I don't know if I covered this in the beginning, but in the accounts from the family that were haunted originally, the mum was cleaning out the fireplace and a bunch of house keys fell down the chimney, and on there was a really old looking key that they don't know what it opens. Quite a few people have reported that their keys have gone missing, or their keys have been moved from downstairs and have been found in a random place, like upstairs on the bed, and in different kind of. There was also a letter as well, a bill for the original owner that was found in the house, and it definitely wasn't there, or allegedly wasn't there before. Batteries dying. This is really, really common in the paranormal, and it's where you've got a battery and it's got a high percentage of charge to it, and then all of a sudden it just completely drains out. And I think that did happen to 2 of our cameras. And that's when we had that pause and we were eating some snackaroonies to get everything charged back up, and that's when that originally happened. There's been glowing balls of light that have been seen from the outside. When Most Haunted investigated, apparently Carl was dragged backwards up the stairs and a knife was found, or was a knife thrown, or a knife was found on the sofa by a vet. A lot of people in the paranormal community believe that that was all staged, but they say that it was all real. Door to the coal shed has jammed on people, locking them in there before. Lots of people have come out with really random scratches or marks on their body, some on their face, that they can't explain and that they didn't go into the property having. So all in all, it was really, really fun. And if you are interested in the paranormal, then I really do suggest going and checking it out. So this was really, I really wanted to cover this episode today, this story today, because I've been there, I've experienced it, and I just thought it was a good place to start. Moving forward, I'm going to be discussing different hauntings, predominantly around the UK. I'm going to try and keep it to the UK to start out with until I run out of stories to cover, just because I think the UK, we don't really have that much about us. Everything seems to be in America. All the shows that I watch and listen to, either paranormal or true crime, they all tend to be predominantly abroad in America. So I thought it'd be quite nice to keep it to the UK, but obviously when I run out of stories, I will need to look elsewhere. So if you do have or know of a haunted location that you would like me to discuss, please recommend it down below. I am going to be releasing weekly episodes, and I really hope that you will consider subscribing and giving this video a thumbs up and all that jazz. Sharing it would be absolutely amazing. And until next week, stay spooky, bitches.